Welcome back to the Four Podmen Collector's Corner, the wrestling podcast we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. Audio versions of the show are available on Anchor, and if you'd like to contact the show, you'll find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Joining me tonight for a very special episode, recommended by one Darren McCumsky, who was number one on the Collector's Corner episodes, but about to be outshone, I would imagine. One, J.A.M. Manos. Jason, how are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing today?
Good, not too bad at all. Originally from Woodmere in New York, but all the way now from Keene in New Hampshire. Did I get that right?
You did. Yeah.
Brilliant. Excellent. Where do we begin? So tell us, the love of wrestling, where did it all begin?
Well, I'm pretty old, older than I look. So we don't have to go. We don't have to go into specifics.
No. Let's let him have a guess, because I know this answer because I was tuned in on Sunday night when this dropped, and I have to tell you I was a little bit shocked myself.
Yeah. You should have said before during the pandemic I let this beard grow. I gained 30 pounds. I looked way younger before too. But yeah. So what do you think? What would you guess?
I'd hazard the guess, but I know from some of the names you've dropped, you're probably a very close vintage to myself, I would say. Am I right in saying that, Darren?
I think so.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
I'd say so. So where I don't want to do it a disservice. I'm thinking somewhere, I'll give you a range between 45 and 49.
Yep, 47.
There you go. I'm 2 years on you. I'm 49. I can always tell when I ask people about wrestlers and stuff like that, I can get their age like that straight away. It's so obvious. So where did it all begin for you?
Well, I was a little kid, maybe, I don't know, 5, 6 years old. And I just remember seeing it one day, flipping the channels on the television. And a second I saw it, it was incredible. It was back before it was popular, back before WWE was this big deal. It was during the when everything was regional, and I saw Mid-South wrestling, and then I saw, and I said, wow. And I was so old, like Jake the Snake Roberts and these guys when they were young men, Tommy Wildfire Rich, and then, so I was already liking it. So I started to come downstairs and sneak downstairs and watch it because it was on back then. It wasn't prime time. It was on 12 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, some little channel 9. And I just fell in love with it. But it really put me over the edge was I started to watch it, and then a couple of years later I saw NWA. That was what put it. And when I saw the first time I ever saw Ric Flair come out and take over that little studio they had, it was not some big production, but he came out in his suit, and it was all just his charisma. It wasn't lights, it wasn't fancy. It was just one guy with so much charisma, and that was it. I was hooked. That was when I really got hooked, when I first saw Ric Flair.
Yeah. So you've had a very similar path to me then, because wrestling, when it came over here first, we used to get like superstars and stuff like that and all, WWF. But I grew up on Jim Crockett Promotions. Jim Crockett Promotions was the other one that came over here initially. And again, I grew up like you with the studio and Ric Flair with the crocodile shoes and the suits and the whole lot and all, and the Four Horsemen, all that type of stuff, and that little studio. And I love now, I don't know if you watch NWA Power now, they've kind of put it back into that kind of, I'm so addicted to it now, that little studio where they're literally pulling the promo 5 meters from the ring, and you think they're in this big studio until the camera pans back and you see it's just like a little small warehouse. It's absolutely brilliant. I love that old stuff. Like, it's so good.
Sometimes you can overproduce stuff. They just do a little too much.
Yeah, it was crazy times. I remember, like, growing up, it was mad. You'd see Dusty Rhodes getting his arm broken and all, and it was so real and all, and we hated the Horsemen because of it and everything and all. It was so cool. Give us some wrestlers from the early days. Who were the kind of the go-to guys, if you like?
I'm just looking for your thing right here. Okay, there we go. Well, obviously Ric Flair. I read the Rock and Roll Express, Tommy Rich, John Studd, a little bit of Bruno Sammartino. I remember the feud between Sammartino and Larry Zbyszko. And that was really interesting to me. I remember Funk. I remember, God, you know, I mean, even the smaller wrestlers, you know, like a little less known wrestlers, you know, SD Jones and the first, you know, as far as, and I remember the first time I saw the Road Warriors.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was like, who are they? These are not real people. These guys too, because everyone, you know, back then, all the wrestlers now they're on, you know, they're all in great shape and they're eating keto diets and they're going, you know what I mean, and they're using their Pelotons and all this stuff, you know. But back then, these guys weren't doing that. These guys were driving. They weren't in private jets. These guys were driving 180 miles from place to place, working every night. They were sleeping in Motel 6. They were eating McDonald's and they were going to bars again in a fight. So these guys were all mostly out of shape. The wrestlers, I never really, you know, they looked okay. And then you see this Road Warriors come out, and you go, how can anybody fight these guys? How can anybody fight these guys and win? I don't see how it's possible.
Yeah.
So I really like that.
Awesome. I remember one of their feuds I recollect back in Jim Crockett Promotions was when they were feuding with a team called the New Breed. Don't know if you remember the New Breed. Remember the tall guy and then there was a short guy and they had the heads all shaved bald here with the mullets.
Yep, I totally do.
And those guys, remember their gig was they had been transported back from 2020 or something like that to fight the Road Warriors. And then you're thinking, I remember last year I got hit up on Facebook by a guy and I said, does anyone ever seen the New Breed? You know? And it was just so funny because it was 2020. But I remember that storyline, and the Road Warriors used to pick on them because their ring jackets were leather like the Road Warriors original ones, but they weren't leather. They were actually vinyl, and Animal used to take the piss out of it. It was so funny, like it was hilarious. Like, in terms of the collection, what is it that you mainly collect?
I actually, because I'm a reseller, I'm looking for your video right now, but because I'm a reseller, I tend to it's, you know, it's like how can I say this, PG. I'm not good at PG growing up in New York. It's like a drug dealer doing his own drugs. You know what I mean? It's like so I have to be disciplined, because if I kept every gigantic $800 piece, every Vince McMahon autograph I got, I wouldn't be. It would hurt. I wouldn't be doing business, you know. Yeah. So what I do is I tend to keep mostly personalized stuff.
Okay.
So when I go to conventions or I send them out, and I enjoy that. So most of my personal collection says to Jason, you know.
Yeah.
And that's like my big thing. I do have some other pieces. I have a few expensive pieces around, but that's more my thing. As far as the really heavy stuff, little by little, I might keep something for a while, but eventually it gets sold.
Okay. So you're constantly selling off and ramping up all the time. So you're constantly selling and ramping up all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like if I get something great, like I'm depriving my customers if I don't share with them. Like if I don't give them a shot at it, I feel like that's not fair. So even if I really like it, I put it up for auction. You know, I just got a piece
Something we've seen in the auction that Jason does is if he has a piece that he likes. So on Sunday at the auction, he had a Page piece that was part of his own collection, but he got a newer Page piece that somebody had picked up for him, and he was a little more attached to it. So he kept the new one and then rolled the other one out to the customers type thing, you know, which cool. I think is a cool way of doing it. You know,
absolutely, yeah, very good. So I suppose we should embark on this now. I'm going to get very jealous here. There's no doubt about it. Darren's probably going to go off his mind when he sees some of this stuff. Show us
we don't call it plastic crack for nothing.
Show us some of the pieces.
I'll give you an idea of a few things. I mean, I'll even show you some stuff that I sold. Here's something I just got in today that I'm debating on keeping. I'll put this. I have a little holder here. I'll see if you can see it. So this, if you remember this, you remember if you remember, you know, when Undertaker threw Mick Foley through the cage in Hell in a Cell, a super iconic moment. And anyway, so this is dual signed by the Undertaker and Mick Foley.
Wow.
And it's inscribed. So this is a relatively newer piece. I think I left my soul or something like that. But so this is the kind of piece I was talking about, like something that I think I should keep. This is like a $500 autograph, you know, but I'll end up selling it. It'll probably be on the auction this Sunday, you know, I just thought I'd share that. As far as some of my old stuff that I like, yeah, I brought my little book here. I'll show you. I'll start my favorite. These are I have some personalized stuff that I brought here. I could show you. Let's see. This is not the crazy. I mean, I could pull out things like this all day. You know, like dual sign Hulk Hogan, Mean Gene Okerlund, giant poster. Let's say, and I've got
piece that you know, what was a piece that I really loved was you know, the piece that you cut a few weeks ago in your frame from Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Oh yeah, I made that. Yeah, I made that whole thing. I cut it. Yeah, I cut it out and everything.
He had two separate kind of autographs, and he cut them, but framed them, and then got them certified as well.
Nice.
So they were all framed up and
beautiful.
Now beautiful piece, but one that's gonna cost you a few pounds as well.
Oh yeah. This is one of my favorites. This is the Roddy Piper personalized to me.
Awesome.
You want to see something that has some age on it? Check this out. This is from, oh man, I'm trying to think. This is about 33 years ago. I got this about 33 years ago.
Wow.
Very fun. Right? He was sitting on, this is a fun story in this place. He was sitting on one side, on the other side was Mick Foley. Now I don't think I have a Mick Foley personalized here somewhere too, but I think I have a frame somewhere. But so I went to him first. I noticed nobody knew who Cactus Jack was back then. He was mostly in independence. He'd appeared in NWA a couple of times. So there's a million people at Terry Funk's table, a million people. I went there, I got my autograph. This was in New York. And then I went over to Cactus Jack. I was the only guy in line for Mick Foley, the only guy. So I went there, I sat there, and he was so excited. I told him, I said, I'm your biggest fan because I read all the magazines. So I knew he was shooting with the Cheetah Kid, and it was all this little known information, you know.
Yeah.
And he was so excited that somebody like knew everything he did that he started taking free pictures with me. And his girlfriend came over. I took a picture with him and his girlfriend that became his wife. And then it was towards the end. I came back around towards the end of the show, and he was talking to me, and he says, "Hey, did you eat anything?" And I'm a little kid. I got my little Bret Hitman Hart tank top shirt on. I'm like 14 maybe, and I said no. He says, "God, come with me." Next thing I know, I'm walking through the hotel, and I'm at the cafeteria or whatever, and I'm eating with Mick Foley. So then I eat with him, and then he says, "Well, it's almost over. What do you do?" I said, "I'm going home. My parents are waiting for me outside." He says, "Let me make sure you get out there safe." So Mick Foley walks me out, dressed in his Cactus Jack outfit, walks me out to my parents' car, waves to them, and he goes, "All right, Jason, thanks, blah, blah, blah." And I get in the car, my parents are looking at me, and my mother says, "Who is that huge guy? Who is that guy?" Because who's this crazy looking guy? So that was a fun story. That was a great convention. Sting was there. I met Paul Heyman there. I was walking. I don't know if it's interesting, but I had an NWA digest that I had just bought. It was the number one NWA digest I bought from a vendor, and I had it in my hand, and I was walking through one, by the tables, and suddenly somebody snatches out of my hand. I turn around and go, "Hey," and it's Paul Heyman. Right? But back then he was Paulie Dangerously.
That's right, yeah.
And he said, "What do you got here?" And I said, "Oh, it's NWA Digest." And he said, "This is a great one. This is a great magazine." He said, "You just got it?" Yeah. He says, "Yeah." And he reaches his pocket, he grabs a pen, and he signs the back of it. And he says, "Someday, my signature is going to make it worth more instead of worth less, like it's making it right now."
There's a man who could tell the future, huh?
Yeah, that's what he said. He says, "You keep this. Oh, keep it. One day it'll mean something." I said, "All right." He goes, "You're a good kid." And I said, "Hey, thanks." And it was a crazy thing. And then the next place over, I got an autograph from Ox Baker, and Ox Baker was following me around for 10 minutes trying to convince me to go to his wrestling school. And I was like, he's like, "Oh, you're a big kid, and oh, I will teach you this, and we'll get you right in there." And I was like, "But I'm 14 years old." It's all right. That's the best time to start, he says. It's the best time to start. By the time you're 16, you'll be the toughest guy out there. I don't know, Ox. I'll teach you the heart punch, he says.
Oh, brilliant. Good. Maybe you look back and you say you should have took him up on it now.
Should have took him up on it. Yeah, I should have. I tried later a little bit. I did a little bit of wrestling school. I tried it, but yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work out.
There's always those clear lines, isn't there, between being a wrestler and being a fan? The fan is so much more fun.
You got the right body. I had problems with my neck. They said I have a very straight neck, but they also told me my style when I was doing it. They said I was too deliberate for my size. I'm about 6 feet. Right now I weigh about 260, but back then I weighed about 195. You know, and what did I say? But I did all like power moves. They said you're just not a big enough guy to be doing. He said your style you're trying to do is like you're 6'6", 400 pounds. You know, so after a while, and they kept saying I wasn't big enough. The funny thing is, years later, I was at a convention. I met Ric Flair. I got a picture. Oh, I should have brought that over. Let me show you. I'll show you a picture. Hold on. Show the world my bedroom here, and I could show you a picture of me and Ric Flair. I got one with Piper too here. And this is perfect. Actually, let me share it. I just told you the stories. I didn't even think about sharing this stuff. Here, since I just told you these stories, I'll share these things that are related to the stories for you. Well, first of all, as you can see, let me move this. So this with Ric Flair here. I don't know if you can see that well.
Yeah,
that's Ric Flair.
Yeah,
right. You can see we're the same size. Yeah. So the first thing I thought when I stood next to him is, "Oh, I'm too small. I'm the same size as like the greatest wrestler ever lived." We're the same size. I might even be bigger. No, I don't think. I think we're about the same. His arms are bigger though. I noticed that.
You're probably taller because they stand on their tippy toes for pictures.
Right. And then the story that I was telling you, here's a story right here. See, first I went to the booth with Terry Funk.
Yeah.
Right? That was the picture I got from that story. There it is, me as a 14-year-old kid. And then afterwards, there I am with Cactus Jack before he was anybody.
Wow.
He kept saying to me, "You got the same brown curly hair I have." That's what he kept saying. He looked, I was like, "What are you doing?" He went like this to me and he said, we got the same hair. See, so
it's mad. It's great to have such memories. Like, it's unbelievable. Terry Funk is unbelievable, isn't he? He's so vintage. Like he's kind of like, for the last 30 years, he hasn't aged. He looked the same for 30 years. Like, just unbelievable.
Oh yeah, no, he's amazing.
Yeah, fantastic.
I miss the Polaroids. Does anyone else miss the Polaroids? Polaroids are the way to go, man. Because you could get them signed straight away. Yeah. You know, like if you take a picture now, I met Roman Reigns and a couple of the boys up at the hotel after the show year before, and they can't sign your phone. You get the picture, but you don't get the whole thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. The Polaroids are great, man.
Yeah. I always liked that better. It was so much fun. They take the picture and you get it. It's white, and then you're going like this with the picture, and then you see it starting to come in. It was just really fun.
Yeah, and you're scared to touch it because it's sort of developing and stuff and all. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, kids now don't even know about that stuff. No. They don't even know.
Awesome.
It's wild. But yeah, I met Piper before he passed away. I have a story for that if you're interested. I have a whole Piper story.
Yeah.
And that's from that same convention. That's me with Sting as a little kid. I'm sure if you can see that well in that little. This is the same thing they gave it to me, and this paper is what they gave it to me in 33 years ago. The same paper is still in the same thing. It's just a Polaroid. Just we think they.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, it slipped in through a slip. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm amazed it's in such good shape. I've had it all these years.
Yeah.
Over 3 decades. You know, and I met Piper a couple of years before he passed away, and he of all the wrestlers I had met, he was the nicest. Yeah, he was like so. Well, Mick Foley was nice too, obviously, but there's something about Piper that he was just a really warm guy. You know, I mean, really nice man.
Yeah, he was over here in Ireland about a year, I think, or so before he passed away, maybe a year and a half before he passed away. And he did one of his comedy shows, one of his stand-ups.
Yeah.
And he's so good. Like he's naturally funny, and he's endearing and charming. He was so nice, and just, he was taking questions from the audience. He didn't care what anyone asked, and kind of didn't give a damn. But some of the stories were unbelievable. He told a story about when he was traveling in the car and they went off the road and ended up in the middle of the lake, the frozen lake, and they all nearly drowned. I think, was he with Edge and Christian at the time or something like that? And they nearly drowned in this car. It went into the lake, into the ice and stuff like that. And all that's the story he was telling that night. Crazy stories he had, like mad stuff. But he was brilliant and so charming and endearing and all. Like a pity we lost him. He was one of the good ones.
Yeah, it was a surprise.
Yeah,
he was what, 60, right? Maybe 60 years old. 60.
Yeah, I think he was in around that. Yeah, but he still he still looked great. You know what I mean? He's so recognizable as well. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't miss him. Like, and a big man as well. Like, he's not small either. Like, he's a big enough guy. Like,
Oh yeah.
Any other pieces there you want to show us?
Let's see. I'm trying to see what I have in front of me. For the personalized stuff, I mean, like I said, this is my primary personal collection. I do have more intense, expensive things. Here is the I seem to be following a narrative. That's Ox Baker's autograph from that day.
Awesome.
But I have a mix of new stars and old stars. Like, I just get everybody. I've got, what do you got? Got Diamond Dallas Page here.
DDP, yeah.
Now in the back, I have an autograph. This is from my sister was in a bar in Georgia. She knows I like wrestling. So she's sitting there, and who's she sitting next to? Right next to at the bar. And then she finds Michael P.S. Hayes sitting right next to my sister in this bar. So she hears him talking, saying he's a wrestler. She goes, "Who are you?" He says, I'm Freebird, Michael PSA. Is like, you should know who I am. Oh, my. She goes, my brother back in New York, he loves wrestling. Could you give me an autograph? So he wrote to Jason on the back of this coaster.
Awesome.
Michael P.S. Hayes. Isn't that crazy story?
Yeah, it's mad, those little things, isn't it? It's just they're so cool. Like, yeah, so good.
Yeah, just crazy stuff. I give it, and like I said, for this stuff, I have guys like Kevin Nash, like some guys not as classic. Hold on, let's see. I'm trying to see what's in here. We've got Missy Hyatt. We've got, well, these are, like I said, all personalized. If it's interesting or not. Oh, let me show you this. I'm trying to find this one autograph because it's funny. We've got, I don't know if you like these some of the other guys. We've got Jim Ross,
J.A.M.
personalized. We've got, I'm trying to think. I've got Tori Wilson. I mean, this is nothing. I have like hundreds of these things, personalized, awesome. Hundreds. At this point, I just brought a few upstairs with me. There's a really funny one if I could find it that I thought was amusing. Let me see if maybe I didn't put it in here. I might not have put it in here. I've been trying to find for years. I've been trying to find a Power and Glory autograph. Do you remember them? Hercules and Paul Roma.
Hercules and Paul Roma, yeah.
I would give a finger for that autograph. I'm not kidding, and I wouldn't sell it. But I just can't find it. I mean, so Paul Roma. Here's a funny story about Paul Roma. The IT company I worked at, Paul Roma worked there too. It's called Connection. It's this like $3 billion IT company where they do $3 billion in a year. Right? I worked there at one point. I was a salesman, so I was doing that before I was selling wrestling stuff. I just burned out on it. I got sick of it. Yeah. And so I worked in the corporate section, and then so I'm looking one day, and I'm looking at the government department that sells to government. And there's a name, and it says Paul, was it Stepani or Sepetani? I forget now. And it clicked for me, so I called that, and it's Paul Roma. I called the extension, and it was Paul Roma because I remembered, I kind of knew his real name, and it turned out Paul Roma worked at my company as a salesman. Now that's weird, right?
It's mad the way the Pats intertwine eventually into this stuff, isn't it? It's crazy, like.
Yeah, it is. I don't even. Okay, here's we got Larry Sabisco.
Nice.
He want to see a tough one to get personalized. How about Bruno Sammartino? All the years later, that's tough.
Lovely.
This is something okay. It's Kurt Angle. We've got Sergeant Slaughter. You know, just an example. Now there's a funny story with this personalized one. Is I went to, remember, you know, Maria Kanellis? I went and I asked her for. So what do you want written on it? What do you want personalized? So I said I want it made out to Jason and your phone number on it. So she agreed. She put 1-800 too busy.
Brilliant. So good.
Quality.
Yeah. And isn't it great that that's how they take it? Like, that's how, like, you know, they're all up for that. It's good fun, like, you know. Brilliant.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, it was really I love stuff like that.
Yeah, you've got some fantastic stuff there. It's jogging my memory here big time now. Unbelievable, like, you know.
Yeah.
How often would you, like, how often do you go back and look at that stuff? Is it very often, or do you just pull it out occasionally?
I just occasionally now.
Yeah.
But whenever I add something to it, then I kind of look through it a little bit, and you know. But this stuff will be in my old age home with me.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
In a box. Well, you
absolutely.
Know.
Talk to me about the J.A.M auctions. Talk to me
so
the history behind that.
That's that's been going. You know, it's a pandemic. Since this whole thing started in the pandemic, before nobody thought to do this. Really, there was just the conventions. You could get a table, and then you know, obviously I was trapped at home like everybody else. That's why I keep looking at the screen at you instead. I should be looking at over there. But and I saw a guy, actually. His name is Marty D'Amato. He has an auction called T-Mart, and he's old school vendor that, you know, all the conventions and signings, and a real great guy. And he was the first one I ever saw, first virtual. I stumbled on it on Facebook. I said, oh man, I mean, this might be a year ago, right? I said, or a little more. And I said, what's going on here? And they said, oh, this guy's funny. And I went, oh my God, he's selling wrestling stuff. I love wrestling. You know, wrestling's like been my the one friend I've always been able to count on since I was a little kid, you know. So I love it, you know. And I started watching. I came and I said, how do I buy stuff? And he said, oh, you just say it and then you pay at the end. Okay. So I bought a few things. I like the classics. I was buying Ricky Steamboat and Paul Orndorff and stuff that I like. And then I started to talk to him, this guy, and I was talking. I said, boy, I sure like this. And he said, you should do it. I said, oh, I won't be any good at doing this. And he says, you're a salesman. You're a professional salesman. Why couldn't you sell wrestling autographs? I don't know. And he pushed me. He said, you should try it. So with his help, I got on with somebody. I did a guest appearance on another show called Cream of the Crop, right? And I got on, and I was nervous, and I did it, and no big deal. So, and I did well. I sold maybe, you know, $600-700 worth of stuff. And I just did that one show with them. And then I spoke to a guy named Jason Sharp, and we decided to do a show together, right? That was okay. We did Zoom like we're doing here, and did okay. And then he mostly did like raffles and stuff. He got kind of burnt on it. So I decided, all right, I guess I'm going to do my own show, right? So I talked to Marty again, and Marty said, you're a natural, you'd be great. And so the first show I did, this Marty from this T-Mart auction, what he did was, he watched the whole show, and I kept my phone with me, and he coached me through the show in the background, right? So he'd just tell me, all right, you're talking too much, or you're doing too slow, or he'd say, change it up, stop putting up the same $5 things, put up something nice, you know what I mean? And he actually coached me through that first show, and then next thing I know, now I got it. I understand. I'm a fast study because I was a businessman. I started sourcing and learning where people get stuff. And now, you know, I've gotten to the point where people that have been in the business much longer are coming to me asking me where I'm getting stuff, because I'm obsessive compulsive. So which is working in my favor in this case. So I am sourcing stuff 7 days a week, 24/7. I never stop, no matter whether I'm working, if I'm at work or I'm doing something, whatever I'm doing, I'm constantly looking and buying and making deals and buying collections and you know, now I have this huge inventory now, you know, and it could be, I've gotten to the point where I'm, you know, I one of the top shows, you know.
It's incredible. It's a great story.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm episodic, you know, I'm same time every Sunday. That's very consistent. I have not missed a Sunday for 6-7 months. You know,
one of the top shows, but he's one of the top guys, you know, because I've been obviously dealing with this for, you know, a while, and you get to talk to guys and you're dealing with guys, and, you know, and Jason has even pushed me to go to certain auctions. He'd say, try this one, you know. So he's not even a guy that will just say, buy from me, which a lot of vendors will do. Like he said to me, you know, go watch James and Terrence, you know, he told me go to watch T-Mart. So I have to just tell you a really funny story really quickly. The first night he tells me to go watch T-Mart, he has a loyal special guest in the house. T-Mart does it in his home, you know. And so I log on and I'm having a little look, and I'm like, this is just all over the place. So anyway, the front door opens in T-Mart's house and in walks the Berserker. Remember Husk? So in walks Berserker at T-Mart table, and he like just starts necking vodka, and he's like out of the game, like falling all over the place. And I'm like, is this what's going on here? And he's like personalizing stuff, and I'm like, what's this gonna say like to Wendy by the time he's finished? Because you know, but I've watched back some of the stuff. He's done some T-Mart's done some shows, and I've watched some stuff with he did some great stuff with Brutus the Barber Beefcake and Greg the Hammer Valentine. Have you seen that one, Jason?
Yeah.
Where they're sitting at his table, they're just sitting at his table in his house, eating pizza, like two boys. And Greg's like face is like completely plastic, right? And he was like putting a pizza in the side of his mouth like this, right? And it's like absolute TV gold. And while this is all going down, T-Mart is doing his thing, and he's selling everything, like everything in the room. And his wife and is it his wife and his daughter to help him?
Yeah,
it's a family, and it is like, it's crazy, but like you'd love it. Like everyone would love it, you know. But like Jason would say to you, have a look at this, have a look at that. Obviously, like James and Terrence, they're two other guys that do it as well. James is like probably the grumpiest American you've ever met in your life, but he's a really good guy. You know, and then sometimes when I'm in a room bidding, you know, Manos is trying to bid against you for something. You're like, oh, come on, Jay, you know. Great stuff, man.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. It sounds fantastic. Like, Jason, let people know where do they hit you up in terms of coming onto the auctions and stuff like that, and if they want to pick up a few pieces.
Sure. Yeah, I'm on every Sunday right around 5:00 Eastern. Eastern United U.S. time, with Eastern Daylight Time or Eastern Standard Time, which always changes. But so every Sunday like clockwork, right around 5:00. I stream directly from Facebook, and I stream from a lot of the guys. They stream from their business pages. I just stream directly from my profile because that's just worked up to this point. And so all you have to do is go to Facebook and look up my name, Jason Manos, and go to that profile on Sunday and make friends with me, and you get a notification. That's it. We go on. I go from 4 to 6 hours usually, and I play games, and we do games, and I try to keep it interesting. And I just rapid fire the stuff. The one thing I'll say, you know, for the auction, and what I work hard on is that I see a lot of guys, they do little things. I put so much content up. Like it's like I don't even know how I do it. I could sit there and put up one, you know, big piece after another for hours, you know what I mean? Because it's very hard to get all that kind of stuff, but I can, you know, where some auctions might put up little things, $5, $10, and then every hour they'll put up one big thing. I just put I just fire, you know what I mean? You know, one after another. I enjoy that, you know.
Yeah, and is any of it kind of pre-alerted or stuff like that? Would people see pieces or get a feel for pieces that are going to go up, or would it basically just be on the night?
Oh, good question. Yeah, actually, what I do is I usually do spoilers on my Facebook page. I also have a group, which is J.A.M Wrestling Auctions group. I think we have about 700 members of that. I don't really push the group. I'm sure I could, but yeah, what I do is maybe on between Wednesday and Friday, I'll start to put some pictures up, some previews of what's going to go on Sunday, and that usually a lot of times people come in specifically because they saw this piece or that piece.
Yeah.
I've been doing I've been specializing in spotlight photos lately. I found a vendor that nobody knows. He does these edits himself. These are amazing, and he has them signed himself. I mean, he has pictures of him of people signing all these. Like here's I think I have one right here. I just sold one that was Bobby Heenan.
These spotlights are absolutely like the absolute best quality you're gonna get from any vendor out there.
Check this out.
Wow.
There's a demolition spotlight, and we just did one. Yeah, we had like as I said, Ric Flair and Bobby Heenan. I've never even seen that before. We had, I mean, it's just unbelievable. This one looks really cool. It's not the highest.
What about the Piper one you got called out on? That was a funny story.
Oh yeah. So yeah, let me move this so you can see it. So the that Piper one, that was funny. So somebody said, because they felt like I have so many of these that I picked up. Who's this Darren guy? Was this? They people I for the most part I've always been very trusted, online. So I'm not used to people really calling me out for my integrity. So people felt like it was too good to be true. How did this guy that they thought these spotlight photos are a new thing? How do I have Roddy Piper? How do I have all these legends? Well, it turns out they don't know. These spotlight photos have been around for 10 to 15 years. Like East Coast auctions had them. They just didn't come to the forefront until these virtual auctions started a year ago or so. Anyway, so a bunch of guys were saying stuff and saying, "Oh yeah, right. Oh, and it was JSA certified." This thing, excuse me, and several people, and they were even asking other vendors if I was forging these, right? Because it was just too good to be true. Well, guess what? I put a big old picture of Roddy Piper signing that exact spotlight picture on Facebook, and I said, for anybody who was asking, well, here you go. There's Roddy Piper. Oh man, look, he's signing a spotlight. Wait, I guess spotlights did exist at time, but wait a minute, that's the exact same picture as I just sold, But anyway, so normally I don't say it to be vindictive or anything, but it was nice to just, put that out there and let people know that they shouldn't question like that. Because believe me, if I would never in a million years sell something that I knowingly that I thought wasn't good. I mean, everybody can get nailed occasionally by someone, get fooled, hustled, but I do my homework,
Yeah, I can't imagine a situation where you're doing auctions every Sunday religiously 4 to 6 hours, and you're suddenly, coming into stuff that's fake. It's ridiculous. Yeah, those pieces, they look amazing. That demolition piece with Fuji is unbelievable. Like, they're just gorgeous pieces.
Something you'd love, Niall, is the last 2 weeks on the auction, Jason's done this thing called build a box, right? And so I'll let you explain it, Jason. You'll probably explain it better than me, but if you haven't seen it done, it's like unbelievable. And like as a collector, the kind of value that you can pick up for a price is like, it's pretty special,
Yeah. What I do is I'll start with I'll put together maybe 10 to 15 items. I'll start with one autograph and I'll say, okay, maybe it's worth $100. I'll say, all right, I'm going to start this at $50. And when it gets to $75, I'll add something to it. So then it gets to 75, and then I add another picture to it. So now we got 2 items, right? It might be something like unbelievable, or it might be just a cheap one, right? And I say, okay, well, now you're bidding on both these items. If it gets to $120, I'll add another one, just for example. Anyway, so this continues, and I start mixing in as it goes up. I'll put a small thing and then I'll drop a bombshell, right? I'll drop another, boom, here's a $150 piece, right? And the bid had only gone up $30, $50. But what happened this last week, I had a really serious thing for the end where I had already put in Paul Heyman and Paul Bearer and the Hart Foundation and Sasha Banks. And I mean, we were really up there, right? We were at like what, $400 or $500. And I said, if this gets to, what was it, 700 or 800, if this gets to 700 or 750, if this gets to 750, I'm going to put add a $500 piece to it. And it got there. And what did I add? I wish I had it in front of me right now. Actually, I might. Let's see. I think it might be right here. Let me check this out really quick, because this is the guy who got it, I think. Let me see if I have that right here. Hold on. Here, I think I do. I'll show you the piece if I can pull it out of this mess that I've got going here. This is all one guy's stuff too right here. Well, here it is. So when I said that, the piece that I put up when it went to 750 was this.
Wow.
People signed Undertaker, Sting, and Flair. And that was for an increment of maybe, let's say they were at about 450 and he was trying to get to 750. So for a $300 increment, you're getting like a $600 item,
Yeah, absolutely. It's incredible.
Yeah, this guy won all this stuff. Actually, he has a couple more rare ones. This is his. Check this out. I mean, you can't even find Harlem Heat, a regular 8x10 anywhere, hardly. Yeah. Imagine finding this Harlem Heat Spotlight. I mean, I'm trying to see what else I have in here for some examples, but the spotlights are just amazing. Yeah, I actually have most of this stuff right here. I put this, this magazine here. This magazine was in there, in that same group of stuff. That's a Ric Flair signed magazine, JSA certified. Lovely. From October 1987. That was all part of the same lot. I added this after the grand prize. Actually, feel like add something else. We got up to $900.
Wow. And what was Jason, what would a piece like that typically go for? Say that magazine, that Ric Flair one. What would that normally go for?
I'd say that's $100 to $150.
Oh, okay.
For that.
That's nice. That's a lovely piece, yeah.
Yeah, 1 to 150, depending on the collector. This one is particularly pretty nice, because the signature's nice and it's on the cover. It's not in the inside or in the back.
Yeah.
And, and it's certified. Yeah. And just this top loader, these thick magazine top loaders, they're like $3-4 each. Yeah. But, anyway, so the value in that Build-A-Box thing, that this customer Danny won. I mean, he won it for $900, but he probably got at least, I'd say he got $1,400 value at least out of that.
Nice.
I think when you were counting it up on Sunday night, you were close enough to 1,600 in value and he paid $900 for it in the end. So I mean, even if he wanted to flip that himself or put it into Raz, like he'd make some good money out of that,
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I and it doesn't hurt me to do it because I'm buying, I buy in so much bulk. It diminishes the price for me pretty much. When you buy 1 or 2 or 3 things, it's more you're paying a premium. But if you go and use, say if you go to a giant vendor like that has tons of this stuff, and you go to him and say, I'd like to buy $6,000 worth of autographs, right? I'll spend $6,000. Well, now that guy will sell me. I'm giving away my secrets. That guy will sell me $10,000 worth or $12,000 worth of autographs for $6 because I'm spending so much money, right? Or if you buy a collection, somebody comes to me, they have a collection, they have 800 items in their collection. I bought a collection of 1,200 pieces, right? And they come to me and I can't pay dollar for dollar for all that stuff. And I say to them, I add it up. I say to myself, oh, this collection's worth $20,000. And I go, what do you want for it? They say, I'll take 6,000. I go, done. You know what I mean? Done.
Yeah.
Here you go. I'll send you, what's your PayPal? Right. And what was I say? And because I can do that, they're happy because it would take them 10 years to sell that collection because they don't have the platform that I have.
Yeah.
Right. So in their hands, that stuff is not worth $20,000. That stuff is going to sit in the basement for the rest of their lives. Right.
Yeah.
So and they think, so to them, it's like worthless. You know what I mean? Or they might be able to sell a little bit of it. And they want money. They're so happy to get a chunk of money, $5,000-6,000, and just be done with it and let it be my problem. That's why they'll sell it at that price. And then it might take me 3 months to unload that, 4 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because I do that, if there's a piece in there that's worth $300, when I break it down, I paid $90 for that piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever. And I have a different respect for my customers, I think, than some people. I can afford to throw that into a game or put it up and start it at $1, or I see everyone else is selling that piece for $300 quick buy, $350. I can start it at $150, $175, because I'm going to make money. It's fine. But I feel like if I'm saving money, everyone else should save money too. I don't think that's the same philosophy as a lot of vendors. And I'll never name names, but I can tell you that I'm getting myself in trouble right now. I can tell you that there have been vendors that have contacted me and complained about how I do stuff, right? Because they feel that I was being too cheap on certain items, and it bothered them, and I said, well, if you knew me well, you would know how that worked out for them. But
yeah, well, I mean, everyone likes a good offer on stuff, things like that, so it's nice to do it that way as well.
Because I think he's on live right now. If I'm on the right guy.
Brilliant.
So what can you do? But I just I have I won't mention the items, because if I mention the items, whoever sees this, I'll share this later on. I was going to share this trying to share this on Facebook. I couldn't figure out. I didn't see it on your page.
Yeah, we're not up there yet. We're just recording on Zoom. So
okay.
There'll be a little bit of editing on it, and then it'll go up tomorrow. So what I'll do is I'll tag you on it on Twitter or whatever, or on Facebook.
Oh, great. So if I say anything really stupid, you can erase it, you can get rid of it.
A little bit, yeah.
Great, perfect. That gives me more freedom. But I won't say names. I won't say the pieces. I'll tell you that, there's a lot of inner workings behind the scenes that go on with all these different vendors and stuff. And a lot of us are great. I mean, I work together with lots of these guys. I can tell you, most of these guys I work with. There's Dan Sky is a great guy. He's a vendor, and East Coast Auctions are my favorite. James Sabasas, he's been in the business for over 30 years. I mean, I think he's forgotten more about this business than most people will ever know, as they say. And of course, like I said, Marty, he's the greatest guy. He got me started. And so we pass things between, we help each other out and sell to each other and stuff like that. But not everybody's so cooperative, right? There are some guys we all stay away from, right? I'm not going to name names. Certain vendors we stay away from because they're not on the up and up. And we know it. We know they're cheating. We know they're not selling real stuff, because we know where when I watch the auctions, it's different at this point to me, collector. No matter what auction I watch, I know where every single piece came from, almost, or 95% of the stuff I see, I know where that guy got that from. So it can be hard for me to bid sometimes, because I know I can get it, what I can get it for, but I bid anyway because I want to support them. But I always know where it came from, essentially. But some of the guys, I don't know where it came from, because it came from nowhere, because that guy made it in his room. You know what I mean? There's guys that print the pictures themselves, making fakes and stuff like that. So all of us avoid those, but there's only a couple like that, and we avoid them. And then there's guys that don't really get involved in the community much. But like I said, I had a situation where I bought a large amount of multiples of one star, right? And so did this other auction. We got it from the same vendor, essentially. So, and this guy had done signings and the big event and all this stuff. And I was selling them for I didn't want to say the price because I'll give it away, but I was selling them what I thought was a fair price, because I bought so many of them, I didn't pay much for them. So I was selling them, and then I get a message from this other vendor saying they have the same ones, but they're selling them for more than twice as what I'm selling them for. So now they're angry with me because they tell me I'm killing the market, And I said, but I don't. But yeah, but meanwhile I'm selling it. I'm selling it for like 5 times more than I paid for it. I think that's good enough. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm not a pig. It's like it's already so much profit there. You know what I mean? And yet it's still I'm still selling it for far below its actual value. Like if you went to eBay or this and that.
Yeah.
So I think I'm making money. My customers are getting. They can't find this particular item cheaper anywhere. So they're getting the best deal on the planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On this stuff, and I'm making whatever $20 every time I sell one, right? I think it's good enough. But this other vendor gets in touch with me and he demands that I raise my price. Demands it because I'm ruining his market. So naturally I said, yeah, I'll do whatever I want. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do whatever I want. It doesn't, I don't care who you are,
Yeah.
Nobody can affect me like that. Like I said, I'm the bubbliest, friendliest guy you ever know in person. Sitting in the pub or I have a lot of fun. But at the same time, stuff like that, I have a backbone too. If somebody comes to me and they say, "You're going to do this," I say, "No, I'm not." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I won't compromise my honor with the customers. Because all these customers have become my friends.
Yeah.
We're all friends. I'm available 24/7. When I tell you that I get maybe 400 to 500 text messages a day in total, I'm not exaggerating. I mean, not all from different people, but all together.
Yeah.
I get messages. I'm laying in bed, 4:30 messages. I wake up at 6:45 in the morning. My page is full of messages from that time. I'm driving all afternoon. My light's going off on my phone. Did you ship this? What's going on with this? Hey, what are you selling? You want to buy my collection? Or some people just telling me stuff, tell me about their lives. So many of these people are my friends. So I'm not gonna, I'm trying to make. Of course I'm doing it to make money. I mean, that's business. But you can make money and not be unfair. You can make money. You don't have to be pillaging people. And so I try to dance on that fine line between making enough money to make doing all this work worth it, because it's a lot more work than people realize.
Yeah.
But still doing the right thing for the customers where I feel good about selling, because I don't want to feel bad, about that. Well, I sure can talk, right?
Yeah. No, but you've developed a nice community there of people that you deal with. So it's there's the kind of a bond and a friendship there with the people that you deal with. So you want to look after them, but yeah, you still have to make your living, obviously. Yeah, and I think they respect that as well and understand it, obviously, as well. And looking at the success of it and stuff like that. I have to ask: have you ever auctioned off or sold off a piece that you regretted selling?
Oh man, that's all I do every week. That's all I do. Half the pieces I sell, a little tear comes out of my eye. I mean, I wish I knew where it was so I could grab it. I mean, I just sold. I don't think I could dig it out of this stack right now, but I just sold a original P series promo, dual Undertaker and Paul Bearer from 1994. There are only 60 of those made or so. And how many, now you say, like I was saying in the auction, how many do you think of those are left, all these years later? This is 1994. You're talking about almost 30 years later, right? So how many of them were signed? How many of them were signed by both? How many of them didn't get ruined? How many of them did kids' parents not throw away? So what could be left from those 60? 5, maybe, dual signed, 4, and it was double certified. The value is approximately $1,000 to $1,500. And I really thought about keeping that because I'm never going to get another one. You know what I mean? Like, I just never finding that again. But I sold it because I just felt like, and it wasn't that I said, oh, I can get a lot of money for this. To be honest, I'm in this now. I'm in a situation where I'm not wealthy, but I don't have to sell something for that $1,000. I can keep that if I want to.
Yeah.
Right. It's not that relevant. I just felt like it's just I'm just all focused on the auction. I felt like, how can I have this cool thing and not show it to everybody? I have to give everybody. I have to give them a chance. But what I did was I usually start things far below the value. I decided this is what I'm going to do. This is my logic. I'm sharing my logic, my honest logic with you. I said, I'm going to put it up at its true value, right? I'm going to put it up at what everybody would put it up at, and so I'm not going to start at 600-700 because that would be ridiculous, actually, because it's not worth it. That's something you should keep. It's going to, at that point. So I put it up. I started at $900, which is about $1,000. It's still below its value, but I think that's a good sale price for it, right? I said, I'm going to put up at 900. I didn't think anybody would bid on it. I said, no one will buy it. No one will buy it. I'll get to keep it. I said, I put it up, $900. And then someone else bid 950. And there it is. And off it goes, I, like I said, I don't need that $950 right now. I could keep it, but I just feel the need to share. I'm proud of the stuff I put up. Like when I get these great pieces in, I feel good about it. I put this up, I go, oh, they're gonna love this, and I'm not really thinking necessarily, oh, I'm gonna get $500. I think, man, they're gonna love this.
Yeah, it's more the excitement of the reaction to when you put it up. I get it. Yeah,
that is the juice. That gives me a kick. How everyone goes, they make nowadays they make the little emoticons with the wow and the little hearts in their eyes looking at it and and all this stuff. And I get such a kick, and everyone's going, "Oh my God, that's so sick!" And they put fire across the screen, and I get such a kick out of that. Everyone gets so excited that I can't get myself to hold back any of the pieces.
It's amazing.
It's all in the chase like that for you, because from our point of view, obviously we're in the room, and I suppose Sunday night there was probably 70 people in the room and that piece went up, and like you're thinking, like, from my point of view, I'm like, all right, am I going to go that far? And if I'm not, who else is? And then you want to see, is there going to be any kind of battle for it? Now, like the first bid came in at 900 on Sunday night, and I think you're almost on the countdown before the second bid came in. So like Jason will put a piece up and he would leave it up for a few minutes, and he might do a few quick sales in between and stuff like that. And then eventually he'll be like, he uses Siri's buddy, and he'll say, Siri, give me a 60-second timer. So he put this 60-second timer up, and like with 10 seconds left, someone had come in at 950. And the guy that had come in at 9 was like, let him have it at 950 or whatever. But even that, like the excitement, even from my point of view as a customer, who's buying in a sale like that, I'm like, oh my God, who's buying this, And you always, when you go into different rooms, if I go into an auction tonight or tomorrow night, you're meeting all these guys. I'm on Facebook now, and I've got like 50, say, American friends who I've never met, but they're all these guys that all end up in the same rooms, and you know what I mean? Which is, it's cool. You end up in that kind of a community, Yeah. But you're in a community of people that enjoy the same kind of things as you do, which is the best kind of community to be in, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, pro wrestling fandom and collecting is a real brotherhood type of thing, really. It's always
if you don't get it, you don't get it. Like there's people will say to me, oh yeah, something, and I'll say, oh yeah, I collect wrestling figures or promos or titles or Funkos, or I collect all of it. I'm not fussy. I'll take anything. And I'm like, and they're like, right, and my wife tells people, she's like, oh, he collects dolls. And people are like, you collect those? And I'm like, no, I don't. But and the excitement you can get from, I got a package today, and of course a lot of the stuff I buy comes from America, so I use this parcel address system, and the parcel address take it in and they forward it from there, and I never know what's in the box until I actually open it. And that is just, so I got one today from James and Terrence from East Coast Auctions, and you're opening the box up and you're just like, I was going out to work at 2:30, and the postman literally pulled up outside the house as I was getting in the car, and I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I just started getting excited. I was like, oh yes, there's something in this. And you're like ripping the box open like it's Christmas, but you're making sure you're not going to damage it. And then I'm showing me 4-year-old, me 6-year-old. I'm like, look at this Macho Man figure, and they're like licking the windows now, and they're like, what's wrong with this guy? Like, what's but you're just so excited, and it puts you like, I go to work then, and I'm just absolutely buzzing for the day because I'm like, oh my god, you should have seen the figure I got today, or the spotlight Liv Morgan, or the signed. I got a signed animal promo today in the gold studs, and it's signed in green paint pen by Animal. I was like, does life get any better when you're a fan like that?
Yeah, I love doing these shows because when you're going through someone's collections and stuff like that, you can see the excitement in their face. It comes through on the screen when they're talking about their stuff. It's fantastic, and it's exactly me as well. You know, I live my own life kind of this way. You know, but yeah, and as you said, Darren, the funny thing, if you do miss out on a piece, it's not actually that big a deal because you know there's just so much more stuff coming all the time, and there's always another piece around the corner that has your name on it. You know, that kind of way.
It's only the real ones that you go, oh, should have. You know, when you're like, you're $10 away from getting something, and for some reason you just don't push the button, and then later on, and you I'm sat in bed at night. You know, I couldn't go to sleep at 2 or 3 in the morning because obviously we're 5 hours ahead here, and I've sat in bed 2 or 3 hours and I've been like, oh, I can't sleep. I should have pulled the trigger on that flare spotlight that Jason had on Sunday night, but it didn't. You know, and you're like, oh.
Absolutely. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure, guys. Jason, absolute pleasure meeting you and stuff like that, and having you on the show. I'll drop all the detail and the links and all in the description of the video and stuff like that, and I'll hit you up tomorrow with once everything goes up and goes live. Yeah, great. Absolute pleasure. As always, the 4 Podman Collectors Corner with Jason A. Manos, J.A.M. Auctions. Unbelievable. Great to have you on, and no doubt we'll have you on again with some more amazing pieces. As always, Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube. Head over there, smash the subscribe and bell notification button. Get over to Facebook to J.A.M. Auctions and Jason over there. Make sure you hook up for his auctions every Sunday and stuff like that. Some amazing pieces over there. And we will chat to you again real soon, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed it.
Brilliant.